What on earth is that? It's a Journey into Comics Network production!
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
Brought to you by the power of the Journey into Comics Network. This is the Journey into Comics podcast, the show that's 100% dedicated to everything nerd. With your hosts, the Podfather, Nate Phillips, the Podmaster, Brandon Stone, and the Journey into Comics Network stepdad, Tyler McLaughlin.
Time to make the chimichangas.
30 seconds.
Hey!
Excellent!
Finally.
What did you do?
My friend. And here we go.
Can somebody tell me what kind of a world we live in where a man dressed up as a bat gets all of my press? This town needs an enema.
What's up, true believers? Welcome back to another episode of Journey into Comics. Today, it's Journey into Comics 332, Brando. I hope that's two.
Yeah,
332.
332.
Okay, I didn't ask before we came live, so I was just like, I hope I got it right. Oh, shit. Anyways, I am the Podfather, Nate. Today, joining me, welcome back yet again, co-host with the co-most. You guys know him and love him. Welcome back, Brando. How you doing, my friend?
Doing all right. Been an interesting week at work. The automotive industry is having a bit of a slowdown, if you will, right now. Certain parts do, and I'm not at liberty to say why. However, we also at work we've been overmanned, like really overmanned, letting people go home like 4 or 5 people every day. In fact, in the area just adjacent to us, we used to be all one big group, but then they divided us in the middle, and so now we have separate manning teams, and it's much easier to work through that for what's called coexing or company excused. That pretty much means, do you want to go home? If you say yes, you leave. You don't get paid. Doesn't count against you. You go about your day. There's been a guy in December. He went out for COVID. He didn't have it, but he had to quarantine. So he was out for like 2 weeks. Then he came back the day before Christmas break. Got asked that day, do you want to go home? He said, hell yeah, bro. So then we got to leave, or he got to leave, and I actually got to leave that day as well. Since that day,
he's shut down.
Then all shut down. Since that day, since the first day back, January 4th, it's been every day he's been going home. Every single day.
How's he making a living, bro?
The stock market.
Oh.
So I guess he took out like 10 grand of his 401k and invested it. I'm not sure if he's versely invested, but it seems like he put a lot of money into Tesla. And then just about like, so all throughout like December it went up, and then January it went up a lot. There was even a day where Elon Musk became the richest man in the world due to the amount of money that he already had plus his stock worth. And then a few days later, Bezos says, not my neighborhood. So, but apparently, okay, dude told me he took out $5 grand to pay his bills and to buy a ring for his girlfriend, right? He made it all back in one day. Almost made $6 grand in one day. Now, also, on your JIC stock tips section, did you see...
Buy, sell, sell, sell.
I tell you what, you need to be selling that GameStop shares because it reached an all-time company record high on Friday.
Really?
$74.74 per share. This time last year, it was $3.
Wow. How are they building their stock so well?
Well, there's a lot of conjecture. They were stopped from trading on Friday, but before the day was even over, because it was such a big turnaround for them. It could have been investors, people who buy stock, and Reddit that were pushing the stock price up. I'm not really too sure about the ins and outs of this workings, but no, it was all over Twitter that GameStop just, and people who know better is like, don't confuse this for the fact that the company is now saved. It is not saved. In fact, they're still doing as good as they were, which is not very well for them closing as many stores as they've been closing. However, like if you bought a bunch of stocks at $3 a piece last year, if you still have them, get rid of them. Sell them now.
Yesterday. Sell them 5 hours ago. What are you doing?
So,
or they go down to 50 cents a share and they become Enron.
Oh, oof. Callback. Vicious callback. No, Nate, things are going good in my neighborhood. Looking to the future, more now than ever, due to the fact that we have plans as things that we want to accomplish over the next couple of years, and we're looking at seeing where we can do this and how and where, and keeping our eye on a potential future employer, and it could really change my my location for which I call home. Severely change the location, severely change every aspect about my life, including my podcast life. I'm not saying I'm not going to podcast. Of course I'm going to podcast, but it could change everything about scheduling because, Nate, if this happens, you're going to be on the East Coast. I'd be on the West Coast.
Hey, that's okay.
And so, no, like it would make scheduling a lot more difficult, but we're looking at that for the next couple of years, trying to make a big change, do a big change. And things are looking right now positive.
Hey, I feel the upswing, like we're punching the ceiling vibe, because definitely have that come up feeling. Things are going swell. Ya boy, employee of the month for the first month of our dispensary, which was pretty awesome. Our dispensary is the highest selling mission dispensary in our company, which is crazy. Competing with places like Boston and Ann Arbor and fucking all over the place. But anyways, I don't think that we'll have to worry too much, man. The universe is going to collide us together how it does. And if you're getting off work at 4 that time, that's only 6 my time. That's not too bad. I can podcast.
Well, that it's a little bit different than that, isn't it?
No. It's only a 2-hour difference for me.
Oh, are you on Central? No, that's right.
Yeah.
You're on Central. That's right.
Yeah, fam.
See, like I keep forgetting, like you moved further south, but you didn't move south enough.
I'm still in the north, south, my friend.
You're on the north-south end of the northwest.
I'm the southest north you can be.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a 2-hour difference, then it wouldn't be that bad. But it would suck for people like who we connect with, who would still be an hour ahead of that. So I'd be 3 hours again.
Oh, it'd be JIC 50 all over again?
Oh,
where we're fucking with multiple timelines across the entire timeline?
How cool would it be if we end up making a podcast where we essentially podcast interview ourselves, but say we record a podcast. No, don't tell anybody that we do it, right? Say we record it and we're interviewing ourselves, but we don't go back to answer the questions for 100 episodes.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. So we just ask ourselves a bunch of random questions and then we'll answer them later?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's almost kind of like the writing a letter to yourself type deal, like when you're in second grade and you read it when you're 30 and you go, wow, I was dumb, or wasn't I cute, or something. But you'd be future tripping, because then you would release the episode and it would be your past self from 100 episodes ago interviewing yourself presently and currently. So essentially, see, that sounds like a big project to do for episode 500 or something.
Trippy timey-wimey. We should get on that now. We're right around the corner, Brando.
Isn't it?
I mean, we're about 250 away from 05, or 150 away from 0500. I knew what my math was.
I remember what the first 150 felt like.
We're about to 150 again. We 150'd again. And now we're 150ing again. Lots of 150ing going on in this parts.
Absolutely. No, the world's looking pretty decent for the first time in a long time. Coming into into 2021, there's aspects about it that still look just as bleak as ever. You know,
Definitely.
2020 was a hard year for everybody, myself and yourself included. And coming into the new realm, it's been pretty good on the majority for us. Tyler's had a hell of a year so far, as he keeps saying. You know, he even says arguably 2020 was the best year of his life, but for different circumstances. But so far, he's hitting the ground running. So far, for me, I can't complain. It's been... I still don't have a PS5, so that still kind of sticks up my craw.
Same, me too.
So, so like Friday, I got to come home early Friday. As in, like, I went there, and on my way to work, I'm like, I don't want to go to work. But I'm already driving to work, so it's kind of like, what do I do?
Looks like I'm going to keep going.
So I took a PTO. Because they're asking every day. We have a bunch of extra people, as I said, and I believe we have a bunch of extra people due to the fact that people go out for quarantine and for COVID related stuff. So that way we have enough manning or staffing, should I say, to cover that,
accommodate that. Yeah.
So I elected to go home. Mike elected to go home. Matt elected to go home. And see, since I used PTO, I got paid for it, so I could go home, chill out, and. I got to play Cyberpunk for the first time. I actually did buy Cyberpunk. Me and Tyler both bought Cyberpunk. Last week when we were waiting for you to get on, we were both like, I'm not buying this game for $60. And we didn't have to buy the game for $60 because last Monday when I got off and coexed, and so I only worked 3 days last week. It was awesome. It was on a one-day sale at Best Buy for $30, and you got the Steelbook for free.
Damn.
And I'm not sure about Tyler, but I know for me, both the game and the Steelbook shipped from different places.
Weird.
So, like, my game shipped from Bolingbrook, Illinois, and the game shipped from Indianapolis. No, I'm sorry, Kentucky. It went through it. It went through Indy. So I have a really good mail day on Tuesday because I ordered it on Monday, got the game on Tuesday. Great, awesome. And I open up the Steelbook, and there's a huge dent in it. Looked like it was elbow drop from high up on high from Macho Man Randy Savage. Now, I was saying The Rock, but upon further reflection,
it was a Macho elbow.
The Rock was more flamboyant. Macho Man was accurate AF with this damn elbow. He never hurt a damn person with it, which is crazy when you're flying through the air, and he always made it look so snug. Anyway, no, be a big dent, and it's dented so bad that it's a struggle to open the case.
Shit.
Now, thankfully, my game is not in there. This isn't one of those. I have Persona 5 on Steelbook, and it just came in the Steelbook. I have no other extra case for it. This is just an additive case, like my MGS5 case or my FF7 case or whatever.
I think they did that for Assassin's Creed 3 as well. Was another one that had that multiple.
So I'm kind of like biffed about it, I'm a little irritated. The game is fine. The game was fine, as far as its quality. But Wednesday I couldn't go to the store because I had to rush home because we did an episode of Rank 'Em All, and then I had an episode of World Gaming Trade Show, back to back. Literally, I only had 10 minutes in between them. Yeah, did some podcasting.
That's when those nights are long, but sometimes fruitful.
No, dude, great show, great and great conversations. So different from each other too. That's what was so great about it. But I'm like, Thursday, I got to take this into Best Buy.
Tell them what the fuck is up.
So while I was recording with my buddy Jeremy on the World Gaming Trade Show, I get a video from Tyler, and I saw that he sent me something, but I didn't really see it until after because I kind of forgot about it. I was in the middle of recording a show, and it's a video, so like I couldn't really pay attention to it. So like a couple of hours later, I'm like sitting out there in the living room, and I see a video, and he sent me a video. His steelbook, also shipped from Kentucky, is also damaged. Except his is like broken in half.
Whoa. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Somebody just have a bad day at the fucking Kentucky warehouse, decided to fucking start destroying steelbooks. Fuck Cyberpunk. Ah, Trump lost. Snap.
Something. But, my wife's like, maybe that's why they were free. They're just trying to get rid of these busted up steelbooks. It's like those little videos you see on Facebook where the dude's in the forklift out in the warehouse, and he knocks over a whole rack full of stuff.
The shelves, yeah.
And the domino, and like all the steelbooks were there, and they're just all messed up. Although I did hear a pretty cool joke about Tyler's, about him getting a Ghost of Tsushima edition. It was, sliced right in half. Just and
that's clever.
But so Tyler sent me that video, and then I'm like, so then I had to get mine and show him. I'm like, hey, yeah, me too, buddy. So I said, what are you doing tomorrow? Like after I'm done with work, I'm gonna go by Best Buy if you want to go. And he said, yeah, sure. So we met up at Best Buy, went into the customer service, and it was pretty painless. We got new steelbooks. They had 3 different steelbooks, I believe. It was 3 or 2. Online it had 3, but maybe in store they only had 2. So the dude asked which one you wanted. He said, I don't care. It was the same here. Me and Tyler actually had 2 different steelbooks, and then he brought up 2 of the same ones that Tyler had, so I now have the same one that Tyler has. But no, got our steelbooks, got home, was finally able to fire up the game on Friday because I installed it on my PS4 Pro. If anybody following this game, it has been an utter disaster among the fans' eyes, among gamers' eyes. The Cyberpunk Reddit went from hype machine to toxic, like wasteland. I had played the game now for probably about 7 hours, 8 hours ish.
Sure.
And let me tell you what I've seen. I've only encountered one person, one NPC that was doing the T-pose.
Okay.
The game is run pretty fluid throughout my entire. I haven't had hardly any frame drops. I've had a couple of weird instances of was unable to accelerate in a certain area, and I'm not sure if the game was preventing me from doing it, but I could back up just fine. It's like I was pulling up on a motorcycle to go to this building. I went to go do something else while I waited instead of just skipping time, so I could go do something and then come back. And when I was going just fine until I got into this area where I would be going inside, and the game's like, you cannot accelerate. All right, cool. The game is mostly fine. I know that they just released a big update for it this weekend, and that update actually can brick your game to where not brick your console. Wrong word. I'm sorry. It is a game-ending bug to where the game won't progress.
Whoa.
There's a workaround to it. I don't even know where that part is. My whole point of firing up the game on the PS4 Pro was to literally see what all the commotion is about. For $30, if this is the worst game I've ever played in my life, it was only $30. So far, I don't feel that way. Do I think it is 100% a 10? No. I think that there's some things in there that kind of hold it back for me for that. The driving isn't what I want it to be.
Sure.
It feels weird and off. Like it's almost, but it's made by a company who's never made a game that has a driving component. So that's in the back of my brain. It's a bit hard. I'm still getting used to the flow of it and feel of it. The combat is fine, if not, I don't know, a little jerky. But I think that's because in the menu you could put weapon sway on the weapon or on the camera. And I haven't tried putting on the camera, but but I'm getting a lot. Again, I'm not a huge first person guy, so it's a little bit different jumping in sometimes into something like this. So far, it's fine, and I'm intrigued into the story to see where we're going. The game is also just throws you in. You're just in there. You pick your background. You have like 3 backgrounds that you can choose. This game goes deep. Nate, you can
Yes, sir.
You can choose what genitals you have.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So if you so desire, you can have either or. If you are a male, you can choose between 2 styles of units and 3 different sizes.
Do you actually have to pick your cock size?
It's an option. You can turn nudity off too.
Oh, that's funny.
How one thing I did notice that, like, first thing I did when I got back to the apartment was just like, all right, so does it actually show his naked? Yep, okay, taking off all the clothes shows his naked body. And then I went into the normal game and looked down and he's wearing shorts. But in the menu, he's just
Cock and balls
he's
out.
just he's hanging out. And I'm just like, that's interesting. Let me go take a shower in my shorts. Now let me go to bed in my shorts. And I just wondered, I bet there's a PC mod to remove that, where you're just free balling everywhere. and people are playing the game just running around naked, and no one's saying a damn thing.
Cyberpunk Nude Edition.
But so far it's all right, man. So far it's all right. It's a lot. There's a lot. You can craft new stuff, bunch of weapons, bunch of upgrades for your cybernetics, bunch of clothing options that are like have armor stats and leveling up different. You have different attributes, but each attribute has perks in it, up to three different perk sets for like different things that have to do with that. It's a lot, man.
It seems like it.
It is in depth, and it's a very unique looking and feeling game, because that's the reason that lured me to the game anyway, is that it's not fantasy driven, old time, medieval. It's not current. That's one reason why I really fell in love with the Mass Effect trilogy so much, because it was not any of that. Because you get a lot of that, and you don't get a whole lot of sci-fi. And that's one reason why I like Cyberpunk. It's the same reason why I liked Red Dead. How many Western stuff do you get? Not much.
Not often.
So therefore, it makes it very unique, a unique place to escape to. So I'm sure there's going to be more. I might encounter more BS, but I'm also kind of expecting it. I want to see it in this state right now, and I want to see it as they progress forward with it. And also, Nate, there was an additive addition to getting the game now that both me and Tyler, subscribe to, because I think he got it for the Xbox, but we're both going to be getting the next gen consoles at some point. He's going to get the Xbox first. I'm going to get the PlayStation first. On both, if you buy the PS4 copy right now and the Xbox, you get the next gen copy for free.
Now, is that a physical copy, or is that just an upgrade when your disc goes into the new system?
It'll be an upgrade. So you have to use your original disc, but that'll allow you to play the PS5 version. And see, I have no big problems with that, because for me, when it comes to owning physical copies, I just bought a game last night on the Xbox, because I had Cyberpunk did a deal with Rockstar Energy Drinks, where every Rockstar Energy drink that you got, if you lift open the tab on the back, you got a $1 Xbox gift card. $1. So over the course of the last month, now see, like, I believe it was like on New Year's Day, the sweepstakes was over, but you could still redeem them until the end of January, and you had to spend them by the end of January. So I had $15 to spend. I almost got the re-release of Scott Pilgrim, because that's a great game.
Yes, absolutely.
The only thing that held me back from it is that I already have the older game on my Xbox 360. If I ever lose that, then it's gone forever, and then I will have to buy it. But the other game I was looking at, it was on sale. It was the re-release of Kingdoms of Amalur. And so I have that original game on the PS3, and now I have the HD remaster for the Xbox One. And so
Nice.
when I get a chance, I'll do that. And with that $15 off to get the remaster and the DLC thing, it was like $18.
Dude, big come up. That's awesome.
So like that's the deal with my physical collecting. If it's a game I already have in some form, I'm not literally always going to go out and try to find it unless it's a game I really love. Like Resident Evil, I have a lot of versions of Resident Evil 1. Way too many. And there's ones I don't have. However, when it came to doing the remake, Resident Evil remake and Resident Evil 0, right? I think there's a version of that on the PS4 and Xbox One. It's like a double pack. Well, I remember when remake came out, we didn't know if we were getting 0. They did a physical release only in Singapore for PS3, and I bought that. Then it was like 2 years later they released the double thing. Well, I'm not going to go out and buy the double thing. I've already got the PS3 one. So I end up waiting until cheap-ass sales, and I have both digital remake on PS4, 0 on PS4, and it cost me less than $10 to get both of them.
Boom.
So, like,
hell yeah.
I don't mind buying digital when it's something like that. Or, like, when I buy the new WWE games, like, back before, like, Ukes left. I didn't buy 2K20. But wait until the summertime, July, because the new games always launch in October. Well, I in July, for $30, you get the game with all the DLC. So that's when I think for 18 and 19, I did that. And then for this past year, I did that with MLB, the Show 20. Bought that and had a lot of fun with it. It's the first time I ever played one. So
there you go.
Yeah, man. You know, it doesn't bug me for certain stuff, but if it's something that I'm really looking forward to, odds are I'm gonna pre-order it and get a collector's edition, or at least like for Cyberpunk's case, I canceled that original pre-order, but in this case, I got something more. I got that steelbook, and it wasn't that much of a big deal. But now we have talked for 27 minutes about how I'm doing. How are you doing, Nate?
I'm doing fantastic. As you can see behind me, the background has changed a little bit. V and I have moved into our new place, which does mean I need to RIP something that will no longer be on Journey into Comics. We will not be having a Train of Our Existence ever again. So fuck off, Hammond Train. You're a real son of a bitch. I hated you. I'm so glad we're down here now. Moving has been a process. Working while moving has been a process. But no, all in all, man, we're doing solid. Just trying to work through getting all this shit put away, organized, figure out where everything goes, because that's the hardest part, obviously. But we're making this place our home. I can't wait. I said this in the group last night. And I don't know when this is going to be, because I don't know when everybody else will end up being vaccinated or how that'll all work, or if we're vaccinated and you guys aren't, if that's cool. I don't know I don't know what the world looks like in a month or a week or even fucking tomorrow, as it were. So I am excited, though, for when the moment comes that all you fine folks I'm friends with can come and have a little celebration here and break the house in right, because it's cool. It's very unique. This is a really cool, unique place. And I'm excited to share that space with you guys. But other than that, man, I've just been, like I said, working a lot, not been able to stay up a lot on a lot of the nerd stuff. Honestly, it was an effort, a really big concerted effort. I had to claw my way through mud and essentially waited until yesterday to do this. But I have finally seen 3 episodes, not just 1, not just 2, but the first 3 episodes of WandaVision. And before we talk about WandaVision, I do need to say that I'm bummed Tyler's not here.
Mm-hmm.
He had a migraine yesterday. He's not feeling well. He was down for the count. So get better, buddy. We're thinking about you, obviously. Would love to have this conversation with you here, but we're going to carry on for the sake of the show. Brando, what are your thoughts on WandaVision in more detail than what you gave us last week with your just the tip?
Now that we're getting a little bit more insight, slightly more insight as to what's going on. We still don't know what's going on, but we know that this is very Truman Showy. They are locked up in a place, and it really seems like even the other people who are being held here are not aware of it. Most of them aren't. And what I mean by that is there's a scene in the trailer that is future tripping where it's when Vision is talking to the neighbor lady in a different
Agnes
in a different time frame where she goes, "You're one of the Avengers. Are you here to help us?" And I'm like, okay, dude. In the most recent episode, two of the neighbors were talking, having questions about one of the other members of this community, saying that she doesn't have a home, she has no family, she doesn't live anywhere, she's just here. Isn't that weird? And then we go back in to see, oh, she's gone because she said something to Wanda. See, like, this whole thing is very trippy. And there were things that I couldn't say on the last week's episode that are things that just stood out to me immediately. Like, boom, sword.
Dude, sword in the first episode, sword is the first pop of color in the second episode. That was really incredible. The little drone just sitting in the bush. And I'm just like, oh, color's happening. What's happening? What's about to happen, you know? And it seems like, you know, you kind of nailed that everything is not what it seems in this world. And a couple things I noticed is, you know, initially I think we thought maybe Wanda's doing this to herself. Maybe she's just overwhelmed, you know, but she wasn't at a mental breaking point when she beat Thanos' ass on the battlefield after Vision had died and after 5 years had passed. And she really wasn't all that over the top crazy and losing her mind when we saw her talking with Hawkeye after Tony's funeral. So what if either this happens in the snap, during the snap, maybe, I don't know. But what I think is happening is Scarlet definitely went to this town to maybe see if something was happening, to see if she could solve a problem, see if something was going on. Maybe, you know, Shuri told her that there was the way to bring Vision back if she went there. Who knows what the reasoning is, but there's badness afoot in this town that has everybody really blinded and almost brainwashed into not realizing the truth. And here's where I noticed immediately. First episode, Vision at his job with the computational forms. What do the forms do? Well, they don't. We just productivity's up 300% since you joined us because you're a computing machine. My first thought was, whoever's doing this has like a blanket idea of how the world works, but didn't put a lot of thought into it. Well, Vision, if he's going to be a house husband and love his wife, he's got to have a job. So let's give him this job. But we're not going to put any thought into what the job is, but he's a computer. So make him compute things. That's good enough. And it's just like thrown together, you know? So I'm really intrigued to see where we go for sure.
That first episode, that episode and the third episode had the same kind of feel to me, where it really stuck itself and married itself to this kind of episode it was trying to be, like the kind of old sitcom type episode. And forgive me if I'm wrong, those are the two that actually had some live audience.
I thought there were more than just two that were filmed in front of a live studio audience. Maybe we can R&D department that while we're riffing here, but
the second episode,
I do know correct.
The second episode, I didn't notice the laugh or the audience. First and third, I definitely did. And
the first episode's kind of mimicked off a Dick Van Dyke show.
Yep.
And then the third,
it's
obviously, Brady Bunch.
sure.
Second one is Bewitched.
Sure.
Second one is Bewitched.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But like
I'm trying to pin it as we go, like what they're mimicking.
Well, because it's like the first one was so Dick Van Dyke. So Dick Van Dyke. And the second one, there was aspects of Dick Van Dyke in there as well, but it was more Bewitched because then the house looked different. It was because the
camera shots looked different, more a little bit modernized.
Slightly, because you had the first house that wasn't completely Dick Van Dyke house, but it was Dick Van Dyke house. The second house was more Bewitched. Of course, the third house was more Brady Bunch, even down to the Brady Bunch staircase. Like that level of dedication to set design here is just above and beyond setting the stage. But for the Dick Van Dyke thing that I liked the most was the independent his and her beds. Because back then it was it wasn't very kosher to have man and wife, husband and wife, to be sharing the same bed, and so back then it was separate. And which always led me to the question of whose bed do they use?
Oh, when they're banging?
Yeah.
Bro, they just either put them together or they just flop back and forth between the two. Oh, yours is too noisy? Let's jump back to mine for a time. Let's see.
Oh, man. So that little space in the middle, I feel like you could get really creative.
Oh, you could totally. There's all kinds of bridge games that could be played there. Just saying.
No. Okay, so like the second episode, him getting the chewing gum stuck in his gears, that cracked me up.
The magic show and all that. Which I loved. Let's talk a little bit about that. The magic show was really cool because it was both Scarlet and Vision openly using their powers in front of everybody, but it being done for the sake of magic, so no one really noticed. It was just the way they played it off was clever. He's like, first of all, he levitates, and I was like, oh shit, like he can't pay. And then she makes the ropes, and the one that really got me, he's like, I'm gonna do it, and he fucking put the hat through his stomach, and everyone was like, oh. And then she reveals the mirrors, and that girl in the audience is just like, is that how mirrors work? And I fucking died laughing. I was like, no, that's not how mirrors work at all. But it was so, these episodes are so good, man. They're so well done.
In the third episode, the part that got me was when Wanda started feeling contractions, and well, first it was like false contractions, but it was still causing some like irregularities with the area, losing power and such. And that when one of the neighbors, the guy with the mustache, his wife's like, do these earrings make me look fat? And the lights cut off. He goes, oh, thank God. Oh. But then, like, when she's actually in labor, like, the paintings on the wall are spinning.
Lights are flicking on and off.
I thought that was hilarious.
What is it? Gwendolyn? Is that her name?
I think so. Geraldine.
Geraldine. I knew it was a G, but I couldn't remember. But Geraldine, yes.
Okay, so like
shows up and is helping, and it's really weird though because she notices all this weird shit happening, but she didn't listen. And maybe that's because you and I have a history of ghost hunting and shit. But I walk into a house, pregnant lady, spread eagle, about to have this baby, and there are paintings spinning on the wall. I am leaving and calling the exorcist and saying, "Go there."
So what I like is that they call the doctor. He said that she's 4 months along. I mean, this is before the contractions, or before she goes into labor. She says that she's 4 months along, but to them it was just last night. So like, there's all these jokes about like this is happening so suddenly. It's like, oh well, it's perfectly normal, like normal to be nervous. He's like, but I'm not nervous. I have nerves of steel. All these, I'm really enjoying the level at which both Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen get to just break the rigid norms of their characters and get to have fun with a lot of the script, with them being allowed to be funny, them being allowed to be punny, and all that they're in. even to the point of like, baby will be here in like 6 months. I'm going on vacation, and like, but she goes into labor like that day, and he speed runs to the doctor, takes the doctor away, brings the doctor to the house. It's already too late. The doctor's like joking about how fast they ran, but doesn't really make a big deal of it, which is so sitcom-y.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, it's almost like it doesn't register how fast they were actually going. He's just like, wow, that seemed quick.
But then Wanda, who gets pregnant and has the babies within the day, 2 boys, because they were arguing about names, Billy and Tommy. And there were 2 of them.
Green and Blue Ranger.
Green and Blue Ranger. Now, of course, Wanda was also a twin, and that's what brings it up about Quicksilver, Pietro. And she says his name, and then that's what
I legit gasped. I legit went, because I was like, oh, shit. We're about to pop off right now. Is he about to come through the fucking door? Like,
well, we heard that James Spader came back to do something here, right? Yeah. And so, Geraldine's like, wasn't your brother killed by Ultron? And then name drop Ultron. Wanda's looking at her like, what did you say? And then she moves on, just like how the series is done. Oh yeah, well, babies are doing just fine. And she goes, no. What did you say about my brother? And then that's when Vision comes in from talking to the neighbors, who said that Geraldine gal is very suspicious. Doesn't have a family, doesn't have a place to live. She's just around. Come back in, and she's gone. Oh, she left. Except she got pushed out of the whole town arena, shoved into the sky, out through the barrier that is around this town. And that's when we see like military style vehicles show up. I have the feeling,
Shield?
huh?
Possibly some shield, probably sword, more likely.
I feel now. This is Brando's theory that Sword has Wanda.
They have Wanda,
And they are doing experiments.
Oh, and do you think that her defense mechanism is creating this false reality?
No, I believe they are creating this false reality.
Oh, to see how she'll respond to it?
Sword is something that is like designed to monitor superhumans, and quite technically, she is the strongest Avenger / person on Earth. When I say,
Correct.
And I say technically, I mean like she literally ripped Thanos apart with her powers. She has the power to do that. The only thing is she can't be ripping somebody apart and protect herself at the same time, so she's a little vulnerable. However, I can see why somebody of that nature would be of special interest to Sword, in that I don't know what they're trying to do to her. I don't know, because then there is that radio broadcast. Wanda, who's doing this to you?
Which I will say that was weird too. Let's talk about that for a second. The timing of the Wanda who's doing this to you. Initially, my thought was, is Vision reaching out to her because he's all getting fucked up on the gum? Because it was gunking him up and he didn't know how to react. Because initially he's like, trying to like fucking figure out what was going on or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, he's like trying to reach out to her and his power is so strong. It's going through the radio signals. That makes sense. And then like I really thought about it and I was like, no, they're asking who's doing this to you, this being the whole experience, the thing you're being put through. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions. And then here begs another question. And this is a question of questions. And then we have a few things to talk about out of this question. The commercials. Because if Sword's to do with this, why is Hydra getting commercials? Note that in 3 technically.
Well, 'cause the first one was a Stark toasted.
but the same actors,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it could be a subtle nod that things aren't as they seem. But I will say with the first commercial, this was the reason I think it was a Stark Industry commercial. So they can say this one singular line, and it is a key in to the future. It said, "Forget your past. This is the future," right? Stark Industries, forget the past, forget what Tony did, forget everything that happened in the first 23 movies and the series that we got and Netflix and on NBC and all that. This is the future. What everything Marvel's going to do from here on out is not built on what was, it is built on what is now. And I love that little nod.
So, and an addendum to what I said earlier, that Shield was not Shield. I'm sorry, said that Sword was doing this to her. I'm wondering if they did not have something to do with her creating this reality, and they set up the thing around it to study it.
Could very well
not
be.
to shut it down, to study it.
Okay. I mean, considering they are the Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
And it makes me wonder, because Geraldine is not actually Geraldine, is she?
No, it's obviously Monica Rambeau, right?
Yes.
I mean, we know that from casting that's her. So QN.
Yes. So what does she do? What she did by name dropping Ultron, is she working for Sword, or was she an infiltrator?
My thought is, okay, so Monica has she has a future as a hero, and I can't for the life of me remember what her fucking hero name is. But it is, and I think it starts with a P. Might be wrong there, but she, in my opinion, is the only being on Earth at this time powerful enough to go in and infiltrate. While everybody else is under the guise of whatever Wanda's doing, Geraldine actually is trying to feed real information to Wanda that will jog her back to reality, because she is off track.
She has been known as she has been Captain Marvel.
Technically, yes.
And then she has been known as Photon.
Photon's who I was thinking
in
of.
the 90s, in 05, Pulsar, and in 13 as Spectrum.
I think Photon or Spectrum are probably the most likely candidates for who they bring to the big screen, especially with 2013 being the most recent iteration of her. That's a lot of the stuff we're getting in the movies was from those runs, especially like the recasting of Thor. I mean, not really recasting, but, you know, Jane Foster taking up the mantle of Thor and Falcon becoming Cap. All kind of were in the 2013 Marvel Now era.
So her abilities are energy absorption, generation, and manipulation. Ability to travel at speeds up to the speed of light while in her energy form. Convert her energy to any form of energy. Convert her body to any form of energy within the electromagnetic spectrum, and travel the energy through the vacuum of space. And also intangibility. So it could be interesting because there's a reason why she has been put here and why she is going to be seen later. As you said, this isn't a mistake. This isn't just an Easter egg bringing the little girl forward into an adult in the present.
Well, you got to think she was a little girl in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So 20 and 30 some years, and then if she did or did not get blipped. There's a lot of little questions to how old this character is actually going to be.
Sure. But then her interaction with Captain Marvel ultimately has set her down a path that leads her into becoming who she is. Now, what I want to know going forward, because we know that there are 9 episodes of the show. We have the Dick Van Dyke, Bewitched, now Brady Bunch. We're getting an 80s. We're getting a 90s. We're getting a 2000s, and we're getting a modern.
Then would that leave the final 2 episodes to not play in the world of television and instead to play in the Marvel world of more cinematic?
I don't know, to be honest with you. What I do know is that it looks like the 80s is going to be taking like Growing Pains style.
Is that going to be the Halloween episode?
I don't know, to be honest with you. It might. It looks like it would fit there within with how the costumes look and everything. The 90s, probably more so Roseanne or something along those lines.
Full House?
Maybe Full House.
That'd be just an interesting wink and a nod, you know?
And then the 2000s, possibly like Malcolm in the Middle, late 90s.
Actually, I know for a fact Malcolm in the Middle is what they're mimicking in that era because I read a little article about it.
It makes me wonder. I remember one singular thing from Malcolm in the Middle, and that's when like the mom answers the door topless while she's doing laundry, and they're like, just what? They're tits. like what do you want? So I wonder if Elizabeth Olsen is gonna answer the door topless on Disney Plus.
I don't know. They had her in that pretty foxy outfit in that first episode.
Well, yeah, and also she appeared in Old Boy with Josh Brolin. And they have a sex scene together.
Wait, Scarlet Witch bang Thanos?
In Old Boy, but in Old Boy, she is his daughter. But they don't know it. Old Boy's a messed up movie.
It's been a time since I saw the original, so
I mean, it's a good movie, but man, it's a. Anyways, no, I feel the show has succeeded on two fronts. I feel like it has succeeded in generating a buzz about what's going to happen. And also, this is why I'm kind of happy that we're getting this first and not Black Widow. Because this is like, coming out of Endgame, it's like, now what? And it's like this kooky weirdness coming from this with just enough sprinkles just to let you know something is not right. There's something amiss here, and we don't know what it is, but we're going to find out. And that is what is really what I'm really liking about this. But also that fan of television. You know, I've watched television for all my life. I've watched Nick at Night when I was growing up. I saw all these shows that they're mimicking. And I really like their dedication to that. They're doing a really good job of that. And also, the next door neighbor cutting his hedges, and he cuts through the
brick wall.
A brick wall with it and just kind of ignores it. And Vision's like, hey, you kind of went a little overboard on the hedge trimmer there, huh? Oh, yeah. See, Tyler told me, it's like, this is awesome, and it makes me uncomfortable to watch. Because the first episode, as we said, complete sitcom, a tribute to the old Dick Van Dyke-ness, until during the dinner scene where the boss dude starts choking.
Oh, that was super unsettling.
And
Stop it. Oh, my God.
Yes.
He's like dying, and you're just like, what is happening?
And she is
here?
like a broken record. And then he phases into him, gets the food out to save him, and they continue like nothing ever happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
It goes back to the sitcom kookiness of like, well, I think it's time for us to go.
Yeah.
You showed me great promise here, boy.
Your guests are leaving now.
Yeah. And then the lobster door knocker.
Yeah, because she lost the lobster. Second episode was a little bit more of that not in studio sitcom where they were on like they're outside a little bit more and doing something. But you know, I really like just the flavor and flair of this show, and I'm really interested to see where we're going in the future. And also, Feige hinted about how multiverseness could be affecting the MCU, not just for this trilogy of movies or shows like WandaVision, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man, but is on the table for literally everything that they're doing going forward. Because they already did time travel. So the only other place to go is multiverse, and they already confirmed multiple timelines exist due to the fact that they went back in time. Loki, the Loki show is a show centered on the Loki that escaped. Not
the Loki that got choked to fucking death by Thanos.
Yes, so this is a different Loki. This is a Loki that didn't go through some of these character arcs that he went down. He has now deviated.
It also is interesting to note that even though it's not quite the same, and it actually kind of is, though, Gamora has a similar path and story now.
Yep.
Where her character development's kind of out the window, and now Quill knows there's a side of her that loves him, but he has to figure out how to unlock. Like, there's a lot of cool, weird things they're going to be able to do with these almost character resets without being resets.
Now, the interesting thing going forward is that we have WandaVision now, Falcon and Winter Soldier, not Captain America, but Falcon, Winter Soldier in March, right? Now this is just on the Marvel front. And then we have Black Widow in May, B. So,
that was hilarious. In May, B.
because the rumors are that movie's going to get pushed back. Now, the shows on Disney Plus, I don't really feel like they feel a need to push back because those are just stuff that we enjoy at home. But they want these films to gross a certain amount of money to offset the amount of money that was spent making them. And all this is speculative. They haven't announced anything, but that's been the MO with anything theater related with Marvel. They're not going to announce anything until they announce something. Meanwhile, there's a lot of conjecture, a lot of rumors, and on the Sony front, they did move Morbius, which leads people to believe that they're moving Spider-Man out of Christmas. You indicated before we started that that's not really possibly going to happen because it's Christmas themed, so therefore it makes sense to drop it around Christmas, and I agree with you with that, and that may not happen.
Well, I think that if you're Marvel and you just spent a fuck ton of money to ensure that you're filming in winter,
yeah,
you are telling people openly it is a Christmas movie. This is going to be Marvel's first, like, not Tony Stark fucking Iron Man 3 subtly Christmas where there's just some hints of Christmas. Part of the story is going to involve the uniqueness that is the Christmas time and the Christmas spirit. To take that and take it and say, let's put it in March, people aren't going to connect or resonate. It's a Spider-Man movie. People are going to love it, but it's not going to hit the same, and it's not going to get people talking the same. It's like, holy shit, we just saw a Spider-Man movie that might also be the greatest Christmas story of all time. Like, what? How did they pull that off? But I think Marvel could do that.
So Batman Returns was released in July. Around 4th of July weekend, either right before or whatever, and it's a Christmas set movie. So it can be done. The other part of it is, what if all these rumored cameos with Tobey Maguire and Andy Garfield, what if this whole movie is literally a Christmas Carol where you have Toby and then Andy playing different versions of Spider-Man, which are like the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future.
Well, you would have to bring somebody to play Miles' future, though.
Sure,
which
absolutely.
would be awesome. Or, oh my God, Miguel O'Hara. Holy fuck.
Yep.
That would be totally left field, no one expecting it.
Yep.
Oh, Spidey 99 is here, motherfuckers.
Well, I mean, and I've been saying that all along, is that as much as people want a live action Miles, we currently have two separate things going on with Miles. We have the new video game verse, which that got put out, which did really great.
Animated Into the Spider-Verse.
And we have Into the Spider-Verse, which we're getting a sequel to. So therefore, while it's awesome, it would be awesome to get live action, I would want to see more of a Miguel O'Hara. So as you were talking about Christmas, my mind went Christmas Carol. My gosh.
Coming like Scrooged, essentially.
Yeah.
Where he's visited by three different. Yeah, exactly. That'd be great. And then it'd be funny though if it was more than just like, maybe it's not just the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, but like multiverse talking wise, and you could have really fun cameos. Like, how unique would it be if we actually got a live action Spider-Ham, live action Spider-Man Noir, live action Ben Reilly, fucking Scarlet Spider would be fucking radical. I'm just saying, there's so many cool Spider-Mans and so many cool stories to tell. You're doing a multiverse story. It doesn't have to be limited to what's already been done. You can tease what's to come too and do it in such a clever manner because it is multiverse.
You can, and see, that's why I think it would behoove them the best to do Miguel for $20.99, because if I'm Sony and I'm looking to capitalize the most off of the properties that I have the rights to, and we keep trying this, we keep trying that, and it wasn't until Marvel that now we are happy with the monetary gain that we're getting from it, but we're kind of tied to them as well. So now we're like, well, let's do an animated thing. Well, that worked really well. It got a lot of praise. It won an Oscar. And it's like, good, awesome, good for us. And then we're starting to do Venom, and we're starting to do Morbius, and we're starting to spread out and utilize these other characters without 100% tying them to Spider-Man. Why not do 2099 Spider-Man out of left field? And that's another movie. You don't even have to share that dude with the MCU. And
that'd be awesome. He could just have the one-off in the movie, and then you could give him directly to Sony to have and play in his own world. And how cool would it be too, as fans, the first Ghost shows up and it's Tobey Maguire, and it's just like moment of like, what the fuck? It's you. It's this other Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, man, I'm this old Spider-Man from this different time or whatever. And he's a little bit beat up. Then we get the second one, and it's Andy Garfield, and he's a little bit more grizzled and a little bit more rugged. And then we're expecting, who's going to be the third? And no one's going to plan for it to be Miguel. No one's going to see that blue suit drop down and just be like, oh, yeah, cool, whatever. They're going to mark the fuck out because that's something from our childhoods that's never been attempted. Not on the big – hell, I don't even think they've done an animated story with Miguel.
I don't think so. But
aside from him appearing briefly in Into the Spider-Verse, I mean, I don't think he's really had any representation.
And see – I would almost put Tobey Maguire as the more older and grizzled, everything gone wrong Spider. I see him, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I see him in his trilogy of movies and how his last movie ended on a downer.
It's true.
And if I were writing it, I would have it to where his version of the character is where his life goes completely wrong. It's on his shoulders that Aunt May was killed. On his shoulders, this happened to Mary Jane. His shoulders about what happened to Harry. It's like all the negative downsides about the implications of what happened to the people who are close to you if people find out who you are.
Yes.
The negative, of course, and it endings Far From Home with Peter Parker Spider-Man. And then them maybe trying to find a way to undo that. And this is the example of what can happen, and it's bad, and you see him just down, grizzled, depressed, miserable. But with great power comes great responsibility. He has to do it, and he would do anything to throw it all away, but he can't.
So I have a question. My brain just went to 11. Tobey Maguire, one of his last things in the movies was his interaction with Venom and what we thought was the complete decimation of that symbiote. What if it wasn't, though? And he brings it to this universe.
And
that's how Eddie finds Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Because it's like a beacon tracker more than anything. The symbiote's like, wait a minute. There's more of me here, and I don't know how that makes sense. And it's foreign. It's not me. And then maybe he's like, oh, maybe that's the key to us being fucking super strong and unstoppable, And maybe that's what actually corrupts him to be fully evil, to turn on fucking Spider-Man.
Well, see, what I like about that is it lends, if that were the case, and we get Black Suit Spider-Man Tobey Maguire, which isn't the whole emo dancing thing. It is everything has gone wrong deal.
Yes.
And literally everything was already challenging, but everything went wrong the moment he had that suit. And then it gets put on too. I don't know. I like that a lot. That and then it goes into the next trilogy of how that big rumor session we had a while ago about Holland having the suit going forward. Then you could do the crossover with Venom, have him appear in Venom, have Venom appear with him. They end up fighting each other, and then he gets the suit from Holland. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it," and all that kind of stuff. I'm used to this kind of wackiness anyway. And Holland's just so glad and free to be done with it. And everything's just looking up for him. And then there is his best buddy Ned as Hobgoblin because of stuff he did and happened because of, So he still has to deal with the aftermath. It's that Spider-Man story of him always having to deal with the ramifications of stuff that he does because of who he is and what he has to do.
And he always is putting out a fire.
Yeah.
And trying to solve a fire, but what he isn't realizing is as he was running to stop fire A, 3 fires lit behind his ass he is not aware of.
Yep.
And then when he turns back around, he's got to now run to those fires. And it's a never-ending constant battle. And that's what I think makes the character so relatable, because not necessarily in life are we battling our best friends turning into hobgoblins or whatever, but we are living life that throws unexpected curveballs frequently.
Sure. And, in terms of delaying this movie, I did read the other day that Sony has now moved Uncharted back into February of next year.
2022.
Yeah. So, Holland filmed that first before starting on Spider-Man in December. So we've got to be getting close to them wrapping up production here within the next month on Spider-Man 3. So if that's the case, it makes me scratch my head a little bit and go, maybe. But that wouldn't be the first time that a movie shot after or before a current project was released after. That wouldn't be the first time that has happened, and we are living in a very interesting time anyway with the coronavirus and pandemic.
When was Uncharted supposed to come out scheduled this year?
It was
October of this year or something?
In the fall, yeah.
So what if, and this is just my opinion, what if this is a decision and a move to move Uncharted? Not because of delays, not because of the COVID thing, nothing to do with anything except for they realize if they put Uncharted before Spider-Man and then Spider-Man comes out, Uncharted will be forgotten about. And if you do Spidey first, and let's just totally undo everything we've talked about, all the rumors of Tom Holland continuing on. He doesn't. Let's say that this Spider-Man movie is his last, right? The fallout and the conversations that are going to happen are going to go long enough that by the time you drop this Uncharted in February, people are going to be excited to see Tom and hopeful to see him in a new project that's going to keep him active in the acting community. Not to say that I think he's going to retire from Spider-Man, but I'm just saying it could be a factor factoring into why they would put Uncharted after, or that there's just going to be such big implications from the Spider-Man movie that they're literally saying people are going to be talking about it for a while. And when it is ready to cool off, we want to have Uncharted ready for them, as opposed to having Uncharted gets hits for a month. And then all the hype train for Spider-Man happens. All the hype for Spider-Man happens. People are talking about it for months and months and months. Uncharted drops on Blu-ray and DVD. It does okay. And then that's it. And then it lives a very short kind of life.
I feel it may be part of your second explanation about, Spider-Man comes out, does its thing. People are talking about Tom Holland. And then literally within like a month and a half of that being released, you have another movie with Tom Holland that with him on top, so it keeps him in the zeitgeist. The other part of it that I was thinking of is that they moved Morbius back, and what they don't want to happen, since Morbius is this new untested entity within like a film verse, that if they're going to move Morbius, they don't want to have it too close to where Uncharted would have been. Because, like especially with the unknown variants of the current realm of moviegoing, how are theaters going to be in like come October of 2021? We don't know yet.
Who knows? Yeah,
we don't know, and so they want Morbius to be able to make as much money as it's going to be able to make. And if it's too close, people might not be willing to go back to back to see movies always because they might be still trying to limit their exposure of them getting out of the house. So they might be feeling like they have to choose. Well, there's Uncharted or Morbius. I'm going to go see Uncharted. Now, there's people who won't go see Morbius. But if you have Morbius and then you have Spider-Man and then you have Uncharted with like a month break in between, well, that spells pretty good for Sony. But also Sony pushed, and now see, those are just the encounters between one actor in a realm of superhero stuff. You know, Sony also pushed back Ghostbusters Afterlife into the fall. It's not their
That
fault.
one hurts.
I'm not mad about it to a point. Okay? Let me just say that. I get it. And I get why they're doing it, because they don't want to just release everything digitally and just let it go. I kind of wish they just would, to be honest with you, because I feel, yes, it's going to make less money. But I think it's to a point where we or them need to kind of accept that even if we wait, it's going to make less money than what we even wanted it to in a normal circumstance before any of this happened. This, you know, when Disney decided to release Mulan on Disney Plus and have it cost $30, I was critical of the fact that you had to pay for Disney Plus to even get the $30 thing. I'm also the guy who paid to get Bill and Ted on Vudu. But I don't have to pay for Vudu. So, I mean, if they decide to put Black Widow out, like they did, because all this started because of Black Widow possibly rumored getting moved, and Morbius did. See, Morbius and Uncharted and Ghostbusters, that's Sony. This isn't Disney and Marvel. That's them, which is probably a reason why there's nothing been said about Spider-Man, because even though that's a Sony-produced movie, they are in direct conjunction with Disney and have to kind of talk about that. If they're going to delay it, they pretty much probably within their negotiations had to say, hey, if we're going to have any sort of thing that's going to result in changing the release, you guys can't just make that decision, and we need to be involved with it. Because this is a joint effort between keeping the continuity and flow of the MCU correct and letting Sony do their thing with their movies, with it not being directly connected, and still make some money off of it. It's complicated. And this whole past year has been complicated. I'm not opposed. I rented what was that? Trolls 2 last quarantine. Last quarantine.
Well, last quarantine. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. During the quarantine, we did it just to do something as a family, to watch a new movie, you know, and I did buy Bill and Ted on Vudu. I had no interest in Mulan to even want to buy it. But that's me. And it was also $30 for that, for something that is going to be made available on the app anyway. That's my big deal with that. It's a bit tricky.
Also something that you could have spent $30 on to actually have a physical copy for.
Yeah. And when it comes to Black Widow, I want to own the movie. I want to own the 4K movie within the collection. I don't want to have to pay for it twice.
Correct.
With Bill and Ted, it wasn't that big of a deal for me to own the movie, because I'm now at a point within my movie buying stuff that it's movies that I'm, just like my games, movies that I'm 100% dedicated to, that I'm going to buy, and I'm not going to buy them twice. So, the way that I see it, fellas, for the next year. And there's going to be argument against this, and I completely understand your argument, and I don't disagree with you. So please, before people jump down my throat about this, please just hold those those torches and pitchforks.
Let him share his fucking thoughts. Jesus, people.
I feel that for the movies that are coming out this year, if there's such uncertainty about the level of safety for people, let's go ahead and release the movie on all 3 platforms at the same time.
Blu-ray, in theaters,
Digital.
and on digital platforms imminently. I love that, because you know what? It allows everyone to make their choice and say, if I want to own it digitally, I'll buy it digitally. If I want to own the physical copy and then go to the theater just to see the fucking movie and have that experience, I'm going to do it. I love that idea. I think that's a really clever way to solve the problem.
It's not a magic fix by any means, but I mean, it's just, if Black Widow gets pushed back again, everything Marvel gets pushed back. Everything. And they just started filming Thor: Love and Thunder. So like productions are not slowing down. I mean, they're slowing down, but they are still moving forward, and we're not like having too many now shutdowns like we had early on, like into the pandemic or even coming into the fall. We're having less and less of that, and we need to get these movies out, even if they're not filling up theaters, because people are going to Redbox them. They're going to rent them on digital. They're going to buy them on digital. They're going to buy the Blu-rays. I don't want theaters to die either. I'm not saying that. But in the moment, in the lives that we're in, people need options.
I have a thought.
Oh, do you?
Okay, so what is it? It's like what, $12 to see a movie? $15 to see a movie?
Yeah, depending on your location, yeah.
Okay, so sure. What if they said, hey, here's the deal. We had COVID. It just happened. It's a thing. We're going to do this. You come to the theater. You spend $30 for a ticket to see the movie. Okay. When you leave the movie, you get a copy of the Blu-ray of that movie as you leave the building. And then you get people to come in. They get to see the movie on the big screen. They spend the money on the drinks and the popcorn, the thing you want them to spend the money on to give the theater a chance to survive. It's not about helping Hollywood survive, right? Hollywood's got the money. They don't need to worry about it. How do we keep the actual theaters open? It's the concessions.
Right.
So you say, hey, we'll double down. You spend $30 on a ticket. You come see this movie. When you're done, you'll have a Blu-ray or DVD if you choose. Not everybody has a Blu-ray player. So they can make that an option. Buy your ticket, select which version you're going to get. When you leave, come see us at the kiosk. We'll hand you a fucking little goodie bag. Or before, either way, however the fuck you want to do it, but you make sure that every ticket sold has something that's allocated for the person to get right there. So that way they get the copy, and then you can kind of kill two birds with one stone.
I get what you're saying there, because either way, you're going to be at a loss. And whether you're losing money from the theater or losing money from purchasing the movie, or wherever, whenever these movies come out within this next calendar year, every last one of them is going to lose money. Every one of them.
There's no way they can make money because the market is not going to return to how it was pre-COVID in an instant. It just can't happen. People are going to live with genuine fear that this thing is still going to be able to destroy our entire world. So people are going to be cautious going back to the theater day one. I get that. People are going to be cautious after they've had their second vaccination to still go to the theater. I get that.
Well, and see, okay, so like people getting vaccinated, remember this. It's like, it doesn't stop you from getting sick. What it can do is hopefully get you through it faster and have it not be lethal. So, granted, if I get the vaccine today and I'm vaccinated, I'm good. Hell yeah. If I come into contact with somebody who is positive, or if I test positive myself, I still have to leave work and not get paid for it for up to 2 weeks. Even if my symptoms, because of my vaccination, don't lead me to have very bad symptoms, or they're relatively minor, or they're bad enough, but I don't get hospitalized because I got vaccinated. And hopefully I get over it quicker, and I'm able to come back to work after I don't have a fever and have had a lapse of symptoms for X amount, like a couple days. Cool. So I wouldn't have to be out for a full 2 weeks if I get sick. But if I'm around a positive exposure, now we're just waiting to see if I test positive or negative, or if I'm going to develop. And the weirdness is that if you do test positive and you get over it, you're allowed to come back. If you don't test positive, if you test negative and you're around a known positive, that's when you're out for a full 2 weeks. Me and my family cannot afford that.
No one's family can.
So even if I get vaccinated and we're going to go to the theater to see a movie, I'm not dragging my kids to see the movie, because if I don't get sick, if one of my kids gets sick, I have to go out for it.
Absolutely.
So no, I am not rushing back to the theater, no matter how safe it could be, because I literally cannot afford the ramifications of a positive around me or a positive to myself, vaccination or not.
What if movie theaters changed totally? I just had a thought, right?
Yeah.
What if movie theaters changed to be more like press boxes, where you had a giant room, that's got like 50 boxes. Each press box costs X amount of money for 4 people to quote unquote rent, which is just you're buying your movie ticket. The movie times are normal. Maybe what they do is they say, look, your seating time is X. So we're going to start seating at X time. If you don't hit your seating time and are not here within 25 minutes, we have the right to, pass your seats on to the next people that may want them or whatever. But then you could have people in literally a building with rooms safely kept within their own family bubbles, away from people. And maybe you could have like little vending machine popcorn makers and shit for your concessions there that you just have people put their own money into,
A lot of that will see, that puts a lot of then investment wise moving forward on the theaters, which already have a lack of income.
True.
So I mean, there's not a likelihood we're gonna have that happen. Spacing, your social distancing and stuff like that. The wearing masks, other than eating or drinking, is gonna be still a thing. I know Tyler has gone to a few movies safely this year. Some of those were like old movies or something like that. I just have no desire at any point in time for right now. Not until it's like, hey, we're past this thing. Let's get back to normal. We have less risk. It's been dropped down.
When our entire globe can breathe that first sigh of relief that things are okay, that's when we'll start talking about actually going to theaters. But I don't see that happening. And I think that, you said it just to kind of put a fine point on it. Movie theaters, not movie theaters, but movie companies, these people that are making and producing and releasing films, Hollywood as a whole, except you're not going to make the same kind of money you have been making, except that you're going to have to take a pay cut till things get back to normal, because that's how it has to fucking happen. As of right now, the only movie from 2020, as far as I know, that did not get released, that still is possibly not going to be released a year after its release, is Black Widow.
Yeah, because we, Tenet did come out, and it's now out.
Wonder Woman came out.
Wonder Woman, has come out into theaters and Australia. And see here, maybe what you could do is start making some deals. If you don't have, like, Warner Brothers has HBO Max, they can put movies on. Disney has their thing that they can put stuff on. Sony doesn't. I mean, Sony has Crackle. No, I don't know about you. I don't have Crackle.
Crackle is crapple.
I have had Crackle, and the only thing that I ever watched on it, I remember that was the only way when I was in a binge mode that I could find the first Star Trek motion picture when I was watching all the Star Trek movies, just because it happened to be on there. And then, but then you also have CBS has their own thing, Viacom, they're all on there. But like Sony, make a deal with somebody. Just call up Netflix and, hey, we're going to release this. If you pay us X amount of dollars, see, that'll help you make some more money. Call up Hulu.
Bingo.
Call up Hulu. You know who owns Hulu? Disney. You
already have a partnership with Disney. Fuck.
Yeah, dude. I mean, make some deals out there, because you do, and that also includes Peacock. That also includes, as I said, CBS All Access, and as even the HBO Max. You can do that too. Like, hey, get these companies who want content for people to come and subscribe to their thing. They're going to pay you millions for it. It's not the same as what you're going to get, but we're going to have losses anyway. So, it's cold out there, Nate.
Oh, yeah, it is, man. If you're cold outside, Brando, I suggest you do one of two things. And what is it that I suggest you do? First of all, I think you need to wear your goddamn mittens and make sure your fucking fingers are warm. You might not need a ball cap, but you need to make sure your fingers are warm. Maybe with your fingers warm, you should go down to your local shawarma joint, grab yourself some delicious, tasty shawarma.
I've never actually had shawarma, but I want to try it.
Really? You would love it, dude. It's really good.
Don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
Hey.
No, man. The meme that blew up the world. I mean, we are in this thing where, look, I understand. There's a lot of people out there who aren't happy with the way things are going in our country. There's a lot of people who are happy. That happens. Every single cycle. This isn't new, fellas and gals and anybody else. This isn't new. What is new is we had a level in which, man, I'm trying to think of the right word, to the right adjective, where it's not just lies. It's abundance of lies, the sizable lies. And it started from the get-go with alternative facts. Basically, it's one thing. It's one thing to have politicians or associates of politicians lie to you in a press event. You know that they're always going to be gearing towards a certain level of agenda. Okay, I can accept that. But then it's the response to being called out. How do you do that? Nate, I saw something in my memories that literally made me crackle. Not quite like Sony's crackle, but like it definitely made me crackle. And this was from 4 years ago. And it was from Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And it's Luke saying, "You told me Vader betrayed and murdered my father." And it's Obi-Wan saying, "I gave alternative facts to that." And Luke says, "The fuck did you just say?" The thing is, guys, we're going to move forward. We're all moving forward. And the thing that everyone's talking about is some old dude sitting there trying to keep warm.
That's it. Bernie just was cold in the fucking inauguration, bro.
Yeah. He's now selling shirts with that image on them, and all proceeds go to Meals on Wheels, I think.
That's awesome.
For Vermont. So, no, we had to jump in. We had to be a part of the thing. Like, we had to be like, "Oh, hey, we're cool too. We can do this."
We also referenced a movie that's fucking 9 years old at this point, so that's cool.
Hey, you know what? You sent me a picture of myself from 2005. And number one, it made me feel a little old because that is, in fact, like 16 years ago now.
Yeah, we've lived our lives long enough that we've had our driver's licenses twice now.
I believe I'm on my third, like, driver's license, because I remember my original picture. Then my second picture was in like 2007, because I had to get another one when I moved over here, because I had to have an updated address on my license and all that stuff. You're kind of in that flux where you're back and forth a lot, so like maybe you didn't have to do it, but I did. And so my second license has me with like this really long hair. And much thinner face. And then I see the picture on my third one, and they started requiring you to like no glasses, no smile.
You're just like,
dude, I look old and miserable. From the long-haired picture to the most. And I'm like, I look like my parents. Oh my gosh, I look middle-aged and tired and sore. And I'm just like, why don't you want me with my glasses? Like, I have to. I'm required to wear these when I drive. Like, if I hand the officer my license and he looks at me, he's like, "You don't look right. This isn't you." Which is why I've actually heard of people doing, like, they have like long hair, but they give themselves like the Hulk Hogan haircut with the big bald spot, and grow out a beard, or like they shave the beard and then they just grow it all back so that way their license doesn't look anything like them, just to mess with it. Don't do that, folks. That's probably not good.
No, it'll probably make shit
not
worse,
advocating.
But
no, I've been keeping relatively warm sitting here, because where I'm podcasting in my bedroom, I'm right over the vent. And
relatively schwarm, you say?
Relatively schwarm. And let me just say that I'm still wearing pants, but I heavily debated not wearing any pants because you can't see me anyway. That's the magic of Zoom podcasting. everybody out there, when they see pictures of us and we're sitting here talking and doing the show, literally we could be stark naked from the waist below, and they wouldn't even know unless one of us got up.
Wait, got up how? Gross.
No. That's all I got to talk about this week, Nate. I don't really have much.
Bro, I think that as we move towards more WandaVision, we're going to find out more. It seems March is going to be pretty busy for the show with all the shit that's coming out.
Man.
Probably Justice League, definitely Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yep.
WandaVision is going to be wrapping at the end of February. I mean, there's a lot going on still. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait to get TY back on the show and chat. Now, folks, before we get out of here, as always, check out the podcast and all the different podcasting platforms. If you're listening, you want to go to Apple Music, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Castbox, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and many others. Just search Journey into Comics Network. One feed is all you'll need. It's a lot of cool shows on there, a lot of history to go through and listen to a bunch of stuff we've done in the past, and look forward to what's coming in the future. Always check us out on Facebook if you can. We got the video version of the show there for you to see us every Sunday night or Monday. Sometimes we got to get it a little late, boy, just depending on how things go. Just give us a break, damn it. Also go to YouTube, check us out there, subscribe, like, comment. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for liking, commenting, or subscribing, whatever you've done or not done, unless you're one of those stupid sex bots that keeps putting "come like my link now" on our fucking videos. I'm getting sick of that shit, motherfuckers. But that's going to do it this week, Brando, for Journey into Comics. Is there anything else you need to add before we roll?
That'd be about it.
All right. Well, for Journey into Comics 332 Shawarmittens, I've been Nate.
And I've been Brando.
And as always, pop your guys' caps back and fill your brains with shit. Later, guys.